Let's go, guys. Day 8. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Before we get started, shout out to this menthol and eucalyptus honey. And let me tell you, it is nasty. Ugh. Eucalyptus and menthol honey. I don't know who created it, but you can mix it with some lemon juice and just chug a lug a lug if you're fighting any mucus or phlegm like I have been for the last 3 weeks, but I'm back. I'm trying to get my voice back. Anyway, guys, what's popping? Anyway, I know I'm a clown sometimes. I know it's a serious topic and it's nothing to laugh about, but you know me with my AI. AI made this. This was Diddy popping out of the closet like the Gong Show, like the unknown comedian. Every time he had a worker, hey, here I am. Y'all don't know me, but in the background, all you hear is take that, take that, take that. I am crazy, right? Is your girl crazy or what? It's not even funny. I shouldn't be joking, but I had to do that really quick. Oh my God, testimonies. So yesterday was Cassie's mom. Hey, y'all like my lashes? I got my lashes there. I don't even know why because I got these glasses on, but whatever. Cassie's mom that was was ashamed that you're gonna escort. You're worth $400 million, a multimillionaire, and you're gonna escort someone. Extort, not escort. Extort someone's mother. What's wrong with this guy? I'm telling you, moms out there, if your daughter ever try to go date a bad boy, I suggest you buy one of these. This is very old. This is a very old bat. I guess it looks like it's been used. What it's been used on, I'm not going to get into details, but definitely want to get a bat, guys. It's legal. It's not illegal to have a bat in your house, amongst other things. You get some pepper spray. It's amazing. A kitchen knife. Anyway. So really quickly, let me see. I was just curious. Who has been charged, found guilty of RICO? There's been many cases that have been involved guilty verdicts under the RICO Act, Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organizations Acts, which in the U.S. federal law used to combat organized crime and criminal enterprises. Since you were asking for the case who found guilty for RICO, here are some most notable cases found guilty under RICO. United States versus John Gotti in 1992. John Gotti and the boss of the Gambino crime family charges murder, obstruction of justice, and racketeering. Found guilty under RICO and was sentenced to life. It was a major victory against the New York Mafia. 1992. United States versus Larry Hoover. Larry Hoover was the leader of the Gangster Disciples. Drug conspiracy, extortion, money laundering, RICO. Outcome convicted of a sentence of multiple life sentences. RICO used to target gang leadership and criminal enterprise. Tashiki 6ix9ine. 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods case, 2019. Rapper 6ix9ine, Daniel Hernandez, and members of the 9 Trey Bloods charges racketeering, drug trafficking, firearms, and offenses. Outcome: multiple guilty pleas and conviction under the RICO. Pled guilty, incorporated with federal prosecutors, reduced his sentence. So he snitched. He pled guilty. I remember that, but he's out now, right? Did he serve any time? I don't remember. YSL RICO case ongoing from 2004 and 2005. Young rapper, Young Thug, and affiliates accused of running a criminal street gang. YSL charged with Georgia state level RICO laws. Trials ongoing and pending in 2025. Trump Georgia election case 23-2025. Former President Donald Trump, 18 co-defendants, including Rudy Giuliani. Alleged efforts to overturn Georgia's 2020 election results. Georgia state level RICO statute. As of 2025, cases ongoing. But some co-defendants, Sidney Powell and Gina Ellis, have pled guilty to a lesser charge. All right. So we're picking up today in court with Homeland Security, who raided Diddy's house. And then I think there's a doctor coming up. Who's the doctor is going to psychoanalyze victims of domestic violence, DV. I guess they want to go into the mindset of someone who's being held captured by their abusers. Hey babe, I'm on live. Can I call you back? Okay, I'll call you back. I'm live. So the doctors that's going to come in and testify. Let's see the doctor's name. La 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 la. Dr. Alexander Bardey, Bardey. Dawn Hughes. Hold on. In Sean Diddy Combs trial, Dawn Hughes, a criminal forensic psychologist, is expected to testify today, May 21st, 2025. An expert in witness specializing in interpersonal violence and traumatic stress, and has previously testified high-profile cases like Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, R. Kelly trial. Hughes is expected to discuss topics like why victims remain in abusive relationships, delayed disclosure, and effective trauma and memory. The defense is also expected to call Dr. Alexander Bardey, a forensic psychiatrist. Okay, so they have two doctors coming up. Okay, guys, so let's go read it. Share my screen. Shout out to oh wait, before I get shout out to all the podcasters doing their thing in New York, make it make sense. Tisa Tells, Gene Deal, I guess Jaguar Wright, even though I don't really know, I'm biased about her. Who else? Murad in London. He's in London. I like Ticket TV. Definitely Ticket TV. He streams for like 6-7 hours. I'm like, whoa. All of you guys have definitely inspired me. I mean, a lot of people used to tell me, Al, you were in hip hop, you were in the golden era, you were, friends with Tupac. You got a story to tell, you got a book to say, and I just been like life be life and doing me. But I was definitely inspired to definitely report on this trial because it was personal to me. It was personal to me. I think I got into that before about my relationship with Tupac and how I felt what had happened in the Quad Studio and Diddy's part that I felt it played with Jimmy Henchman. And so I've said that many a times. And because it's personal, I guess I'm seeking, listen, let me be honest with you. I say I don't want to be biased, but it's hard. I'm seeking justice, right? If anyone comes on here and listens to my story or listens to my commentary or whatever, I'm not trying to sway anybody. I'm not in the jury. I don't want to be on the jury, but I do believe in karma. I do believe when Cat Williams talks about those universal deposits, and what you put out there, that same energy will come back. And every dog has its day. And, we're just watching it right now. So let's get into today. I'm going to share my screen. Shout out to Inner City Press on Twitter. So this was from her mother's testimony yesterday, just to get you caught up real quick. In case you missed it, you could go back to my live and catch up. Cassie's mom didn't know she was being abused. When she found out she was being abused, he threatened to extort her for $20,000, or he was going to put out some tapes. So the prosecution was asking Cassie's mother, Regina Ventura, why did you take a loan to pay Sean Combs? And she said, for the safety of my daughter. Look in the binder next to you. These photos I took of my daughter's bruises from Sean Combs. Combs threatened to release the sex tape, and after that, how did you react? It made me sick. He demanded $20,000 to recoup the losses from me and my husband. Okay, I'm trying to read this in order. Okay, so the prosecutor says, in your book, do you write the time you and Mr. Combs and Mrs. Ventura? This is Sarah Hayes. Yes, I called them married, a wealthy couple. How long is it? 6 pages out of 186. I sensualized it. I wanted it to be enjoyable highs and lows. So some person named Sarah Hayes wrote a book. What did you think would happen? I was worried I would not be able to use again. I hate what he has done. I want to see you have sex with her. Let me go in order. Okay, this is not in order. Let me go in order. It's hard to get this thread in order. Start from this morning. Okay, that was from yesterday. So from this morning, Okay. This is the Homeland Security. The prosecutor says this is when he raided the Star Island in the home. Diddy has two homes in Star Island and got raided. So the prosecution is asking, was a gun found in his suitcase? Homeland Security says yes at 8:45. Hold the bullets up for the jury. No further questions. Cross. The day of the search, you knew that Mr. Combs was leaving the country with his twin daughters. They have a sidebar. They also said they found Astroglide. How'd you know there was Astroglide and baby oil? How many bottles did you reach? 31 Astrobars, $25. 25 baby oil bottles. Any cell phones found? Yes. They're just testifying what they found in his house. Let me go back. This thing in Twitter is not in order. Let me see. Maybe it is in order. It's the way okay, here we go. Was a gun found in his suitcase? Yes, at 8:45. Hold up the bullets for the jury. No further questions. The day of the search, you knew Mr. Combs was leaving the country with his twin daughters. In planning the search, you knew that none of the targets of the investigation would be there. Objection overruled. The plan was to have him not there, but we had contingencies. What type of vehicle did you use? Armed vehicle and a boat, come by land or sea. It's a common practice. 80 or 90 agents. Not all the time the same. They came by 90 agents, land or sea. They came by boat and by car and maybe plane, helicopter. I remember there were helicopters up. You found 6 people and kept them in handcuffs for an hour. No, ma'am. There was one individual who wasn't happy with us and wasn't cooperating, so we kept him in handcuffs longer because he wasn't happy with the cuffs. There was music in the studio in the guest house, right? DX 305. Did you recognize this? Yes, ma'am. It's in the studio. Move to admit. I think that was Stevie J. He said he was in the studio working when the feds came. He heard them coming. The gun was wrapped in a towel. It didn't look like how you displayed it to the jury yesterday, right? Yes, ma'am. Did you find the photos of Mr. Combs with these firearms? We did not. Do you agree that the handgun's metal is easier to get fingerprint than other type of advice? Can't say if it's easier, but it can be done. Can you get the prints off the gun? Easier when it's inside. I think so. At Homeland Security, you had Mr. Combs' DNA, right? I don't know. When he was arrested, the government took DNA swab, right? I don't know. Hold up the Gucci bag. The drugs were in this bag and in Puffy's box, right? Yes. Your Honor, I'm going to introduce a sealed exhibit with the help of IT. May I approach the witness? Yes. We may proceed. DX304. Cut off the screens. Please don't say the names of the people in the photograph other than my client. Don't talk about it. We may confer with counsel. The judge said you may. We may take a sealed exhibit down. Agent Gannon, you live in Florida. Don't many people have guns in their homes there? Objection, rephrase. Do you have guns in your home? Yes. No further questions. Redirect, no. Next government witness. The government calls Dr. Dawn Hughes. Okay, here comes the doctor. What is your profession? Dr. Hughes, a clinical and forensic psychology. I treat people who were in World War II, which was such an honor. How many times have you testified in court? 60, 65 in SDNY, ENDY, North District, also New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Virginia. We offer Dr. Hughes as an expert, no objection. What do you anticipate recovering? Why victims stay? Memory. Have you been retained by the government? Yes. What is your hourly rate? $6,000 for a day in court. Why do victims stay? There are psychological bonds and the psychological consequences of the abuse. What are the levels of fear? It ranges from physical violence to butterflies. Violence doesn't have to happen all the time. What is psychological violence? Intimidation, throwing things, telling you what you can do and where you can go? Objection. I'm going to strike the last answer. Here goes the prosecution. What can be a role of sexual abuse Here goes the doctor. To put the victim in a significant psychological fear. Why does it prevent leaving? Shame, degradation. They don't want to think about it. What is emotional abuse? Putting down your partner, feeling like a piece of crap. What about financial dependency? The abuser controls housing and transportation, taking away from her laptop. Objections, abstain. Okay. This thread is kind of like going back and forth. It's not really in order. This is going back to what they found in his house. They found cell phones, guns, high heel shoes. There were some burner phones in the high heel shoes. Was a gun found in his suitcase at 8:45. Hold up the bullets. He was going out of the country. Okay, we did that one. Let me go back. The judge. Here goes the judge. The defense letter about the Dr. Hughes preserving your objections, Ms. Shapiro. Here goes the judge. When the Dr. Hughes is on the stand, I'm sure Ms. Beckham raised that cross. What about those texting involves Ms. Ventura and buying drugs in Boston? We think it's irrelevant. The prosecution says that's irrelevant. But if it was redacted, it is not hearsay. That she was in Boston and on her own. I think that's why Mr. Agnafilio wants it in. I'll think on it. The judge says, I'll think on it. Prosecution, we were concerned that Mrs. Porter's death may be used to build sympathy for Mr. Combs and lead the jurors to believe that if he's convicted, his children may, the judge said, I'll think on it. There was some issues about whether they're having the children in the court or not. They're not children, they're grown people, but if we lay in sympathy because the mother died and if Diddy went to jail, that his children wouldn't have a parent. They're checking on the jury. They're checking on the witnesses. Prosecution, Mr. Gannon, let's continue with the items you seized on Star Island. GX 215, what is that? High heels and sex items in the master closet. What's this? 3 cell phones found in one of the boots. Display a Gucci bag for the jury. Pull up a GX 10A and the stipulation. Zoom in paragraph 5. A white plastic bottle contained liquid residue, meth, and liquid MDMA. Prosecutor, those pills were found in the Tulsa imprint on them. They had active ingredient of Xanax, $100 bill and residue of cocaine. A dark wood box puffy on the top. Prosecution, how do you know that this is Astroglide baby oil and season? How many bottles? 31 Astroglide, 25 bottles of baby oil and other cell phones found? Yes. Was the gun found in the suitcase? Yes. 8:45. Hold up the bullets for the jury. No further questions. Cross the day of the search. You knew that him and his twin daughters were going out of town. Okay. See, this thing it's not really in order. It bounces back and forth. But it's okay. It's live. Let's get through it. Okay. Here goes the deputy. We may take the Excel exhibit down. Defense. You live in Florida. Don't many people have guns in the home? Objection rephrased. Do you have guns in your home? Yes. No further questions. Redirect. The next government witness. That's when the doctor comes up. What is the doctor practice? It was getting $6,000. What's emotional abuse? What's physical abuse? Are you familiar with? Okay, let me go back up. What is emotional abuse? What can the role of sexual abuse? It puts the victim in a significant psychological fear. Why does it prevent leaving? Shame, degradation. They don't think about it. What is emotional abuse? Putting down your partner, feeling like a piece of crap. What about financial dependency? The abusers control housing and transportation, taking away her laptop. Are you familiar with love bombing? The honeymoon phase. That's what they're saying with narcissists. They gaslight, love bomb. They suck you in, and then they become like the vampire or the demonic spirit. They always say the devil doesn't come to you pretty and smiling, right? The devil is always going to come to you with gifts. Are you familiar with love bombing? The honeymoon phase. The abuser showers her with gifts and affection to get her back. Does the attempt to leave happen over time? Yes, it takes multiple attempts. I've heard that. I heard it takes 7 times for a victim to leave until they finally get away. Does the attempt happen over time? Yes, it takes multiple attempts. No, they did not put Diddy in here with the. What is wrong with you guys? Look how they put Diddy sitting there with the high heels. They should have gave him the gray hair. Y'all are silly. Y'all, I didn't do that, guys. Way defense is going to go slip over this photo of Diddy and the shooter and the names of the prosecution, the witness. The fact that Diddy's side keep naming names is private lest you tell them and get something worked out today. Oh my God. Okay, let's go back. They brought out some photos, but they're saying don't say who's in the photos. Go back. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we got to wait for the next update. Prosecution says, which is the most coping mechanism? The doctor says, trying to work it out because of the trauma bomb. You don't want to lose your partner. Personal coping mechanism. How does placating or appeasing work? We're trying to avoid abuse. There's no comments on this. Go back. Excuse me. What happened to the thread? Okay, here we go. See how it jumps? It goes from 7 minutes to 1 minute. So it's jumping around. Let's let it load. So I heard Kate Cuddy's going to testify tomorrow. And I don't know, I think there's another doctor. So they're just going, for someone who hasn't had to deal with, let me stop sharing that for a minute. Hey guys, I'm back. Okay. Let me share my screen. I'm gonna just read this. What is Stockholm syndrome? We always hear of it, but don't really understand it. Stockholm syndrome is a psychological condition in which hostages or abuse victims develop positive feelings, loyalty, empathy towards their captors or abusers, sometimes even to the point of defending them. I guess that's like little children when they get hit by their mommy and daddy. They want to love their mommy and daddy, or they want mommy and daddy to love them. So they kind of protect them, No, I love my mommy and daddy, and I'll do everything, and I don't want to, you know, cause them any harm. So they try to protect them. Let me see. There's also another video I wanted to play if I could find it. I think I could find it. No. Share my screen. Okay, waiting for an update. I'm going to play a video while we're waiting for an update. Let me just pull it up. Stop my screen 1 second.
Did not have, it was not really overall.
I'll play this clip. I thought it was pretty good. This is from page 6.
This testimony, this witness of how this RICO and how this criminal enterprise worked. Don Richard is supposedly next up on the stand. The members of Diddy came. There are a lot of people who are going to come forward that we believe are going to come forward and testify. Cassie went on probably as the first witness, one, because she is the star witness, but also she is 8.5 months pregnant. So when you were listening to the prosecution's opening statement, they said, we're going to paint a picture of all of this, and that might not be linear, but you're going to understand how this works. So they put Cassie, because literally her testimony had to be finished today because she is 8.5 months pregnant and can go into labor at any time. At that point, if she were to go to labor on the stand, that could immediately cause a mistrial for the prosecution.
Right. So essentially they're setting it up.
Correct. They are laying just a bit of the groundwork. Week 1 of potentially an 8-month trial. So an 8-week trial. So we've got 7 weeks essentially to go.
Right. So you've been following this trial very closely. And, as you mentioned, we heard from Cassie, who gave an explosive testimony. What's your reaction to the first week, and what stood out to you?
Well, what stood out to me was Cassie's very graphic testimony, which both of them acknowledged was, Diddy acknowledged in his people in his opening statement, his defense attorneys established that, listen, he was abusive, he was violent, but his violence don't amount to crimes. That's what they said in the opening statement. But in the prosecution's opening statement, they said he was violent, and the sexual violence and the domestic violence is just part and parcel to this RICO charge. So they are right now just laying out the elements. Cassie showed you how allegedly he took away her agency. She was forced, she was coerced. Sure, she had some participation in the freak-offs, but at what point is her consent removed? And that's what we're looking for. We're not looking at each individual time. You're looking at the totality of the circumstances. Overall, looking at this 19-year-old girl, he was 37 when they got involved, almost twice her age. Did this man remove her agency? Did she feel like she had free will to leave? And they are establishing times when she tried to leave. The video established she tried to leave. He brought her back. She tried to leave. Some gentleman came next to me and sat on the plane and showed me an iPad full of tapes from the freak-offs. People he sent to bring her back. Some of his associates, employees, people that work for him were sent when she would leave. She repeatedly established that she tried to leave, and he would bring her back. You're not looking at the 19-year-old girl now on the stand. You're looking at a 38-year-old woman who has been through therapy, through trauma therapy, to try and deal with what she has gone through. And we can talk about that later and how that factors into the case. Yeah. But it's very important.
And I would imagine that you're probably going to hear a lot of this from whomever takes the stand in the upcoming weeks as well. But this is a very serious case, obviously. And Diddy, he is facing life in prison. What is the strategy? What did you notice about the defense's strategy?
Well, the defense's strategy is she always had consent. She was there like a willing participant. She was jealous. Diddy was on drugs. They're using that to poke holes in his state of mind. It doesn't matter if you're on drugs and you commit a crime. It doesn't matter. So they are throwing a lot of red herrings. I mean, they're trying to do the best with what they have. But one thing that people need to understand about federal cases and the SDNY in particular, generally when the feds come to you, they have a case. Yeah. They have a case. The SDNY has over a 95% conviction rate, and they are the largest and most powerful district court in the country. The borough of Manhattan, the financial centers are all within the jurisdiction of the SDNY. They have plenty of evidence and plenty of experience in prosecuting RICO cases, sex trafficking, and these kidnapping and arson cases. This is a very serious case. And it's also important to remember that Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, all of these prior defendants were convicted of the same thing. Yeah. Some in state court and some in federal court. But the only thing that the difference is the state of mind. State court has a lower presumption and a burden of proof.
Right. So what are your thoughts on how the prosecution is arguing their case?
I think that they are, again, we talked about them just laying out just step one of their star witness and really establishing the fact that she did not have free will. She was not really overall consenting. And what people are saying, well, she stayed. That really is not the correct way to look at a case like this. What you were doing is, what did he allegedly do to make her think that she did not have the ability to leave?
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I know that you've worked with in domestic violence and domestic abuse cases. This, I've talked to people, I'm sure you're talking to people, and, reading the comments and all of that. And there seems to be some division over what constitutes as sex trafficking. So be crystal clear. What is sex trafficking and how does it relate to their relationship?
Sex trafficking is one that you are moving the witness, the transportation of a witness for purposes of sex that is induced by force, fraud, or coercion. Does not have to necessarily be across state lines. That does not have to be the case. The transportation of a witness, moving her from his home or her home to a hotel for the purposes of sex induced by force, fraud, or coercion. That is what sex trafficking is. Now, the transportation is another issue. We're talking when we're talking about that in the case of the sex trafficking, but we are looking at the transportation of witnesses for the purpose of sex induced by force, fraud, or coercion.
So how does Cassie testifying help the prosecution's case?
Because what she was saying is that, listen, I was in a relationship with him, and I was trafficked for sex by purposes of force, fraud, or coercion. Sometimes by guns, sometimes by him, looking at the video, I tried to leave. He dragged me back. He sent his people, his goons, if you will, after me. So you're looking at a situation through blackmail, right? If you're going to say you can't leave, or I'm going to release this iPad of videos of these freak-offs, well then do I feel like I have the agency to stay on my own free will? It's important to remember, in every sexual encounter, what is explicit is consent. And you're taking away the consent. And people say, oh, well, she stayed, she consented, perhaps she did in certain circumstances. But really, you're looking at her state of mind. Did she really feel like, did she understand whether or not that she had the ability to leave? She tried. And they're probably going to bring her mother on the witness stand to really talk about the times that she really talked to her mother about it and how that factored in and what happened. And her mother could testify to the fact that she was brought back So, you have to look at it in terms of what I always say. Nobody is really talking about Stockholm syndrome, right? Which is when the abused tends to sympathize and cover up.
Okay, that's the Stockholm syndrome that we were just talking about. And I guess that's where the doctors are leaning up the emotional, the physical abuse, the emotional abuse, the psychological abuse, the fear, the intimidation. So this is where she's, because a lot of people are like, well, why did she stay? And she must have liked it. And she couldn't leave. And she talks about agency, having agency over your decisions, over your body. And they asked Cassie on the stand the other day, would you give back the $20 million? She said, if I had agency. And this is what she's talking about.
For the abuser. This happens a lot in child abuse cases. You are faced with an individual, a child, for instance, when DHS comes to the child's home and the child has bruises on the body. And did your mother or your father do this to you? No, I fell down the steps. Because you think about it, if you take away their protector, their provider, what is going to happen to them? I don't know. This girl was 19, and Wendy Williams talked about it all the time. Did you know that how was she, if she's going to get away? Where was she going? Did she have any money? No, because he was her employer. Aside from her boyfriend, she was signed to a 10-album deal. And let's talk about that. In the music industry, 6 to 7 is the normal. Right. She was signed to 10, and it's not a 10-year deal because it is. That's a story for another discussion. It is a 10-album deal, and each album cycle lasts a couple of years. She had one album, and that was never, ever, ever put out. And so he kept talking to her. I'm going to, go into the studio. I'm going to put out this album, and nothing ever came out. It was a carrot that was allegedly dangled in front of her to keep her in this relationship with him.
So, like another form of control, essentially. Control.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely control.
So talk to me about the defense. What do you...
I thought that was a good explanation, a good analogy. Fear, control, the psychological mind, the fact that we always got to keep remember, this is her employee. This is her employer. She first said it. He kissed me. He taught me how to do oral. I mean, this is your employer. Let alone he was 20 years older than you with the family and children. And it's an employer-employee dynamic, which I think is how they're going to tie the whole RICO into it. And guys, don't you guys just wish he would have just took the plea and we didn't even have to hear none of this? Let's see if we got any updates from Inner City Press. Let's go see real quick. Do we have an update, guys? Let's see. No, they must be on break. They must have took a break. There's no updates in 22 minutes. So, I'm just going to read something really quick. And then I'm just learning my own knowledge. Not that this is something that I'm into or I study or that I like. Who likes to talk about, domestic DV, domestic violence, or any abuse, any type of abuse? But some people that work in the industry, either they're law enforcement, either they're legal, either they work with CPS. I know a few people who are social workers who work with CPS, or you personally know friends or family that are victims of this. But human agency, and this one, Cassie said, I'd give back the $20 million today if I could have agency. And at the end of the day, listen, 30 million, she got 20 from Diddy, 10 from the hotel, both from the insurance policies. 30 million, I mean, it sounds nice, but if you have to every day, you're fighting trauma, drug addiction, and suicide, and depression, that's real. That's real. And no amount of money, how many people that are wealthy, that are depressed and they're sad? So I don't think that money is going to cure her. Okay, so when she said I give back the 20 million if I can have agency. So I thought to myself, agency, what does that mean? Human agency is the capacity of an individual to make choices and act on them, thereby shaping their own lives and experiences. It's the ability to influence one's circumstances and pursue goals in a proactive way, recognizing that individuals are not just products of the environment, but also contributors to their life and circumstances. Agency involves power to make choices and act on their choices, demonstrating the ability to exert influence over one's own life and the world around them. Self-determination is closely linked to self-determination, meaning the ability to make decisions about one's own life and have those decisions respected and upheld. So not only that you can make your own decision, but that the people around you are going to respect it and honor it. The intentionality. Human agency involves forming intentions and developing plans to achieve those intentions, which are then acted upon. I wonder if she went to rehab today with I guess her PTSD trauma work is where she was probably, this is probably part of it. And I loved how her husband, Alex Fine, he's so well spoken, how he said, stop giving me credit. It's an insult. Cassie said Cassie. You know, Cassie is the one who shows up for herself and chooses to heal every day and does the work. And I'm sure it was not easy for her to come on the stand and testify for a week being 8 months pregnant. That's a heavy, they said the weight in the courtroom was like so heavy. Foresight and self-reflection. And it also involves using foresight and set goals, monitoring progress, and reflecting on success and failures to better understand oneself and one's actions. Individual and collective agency can be expressed by an individual level through personal choices and actions, or at a collective level through group actions and movements. Examples: making educational choices, engaging in social activism, developing and pursuing personal goals. In essence, human agency is the ability to be a conscious and active participating in shaping one's own life and the world around us. Let me tell you, I'm going to say that. I'm going to jump off. But before I go, I'm just saying this last thing. Cassie, no doubt about me, is going to be an amazing mother. She has 2 daughters. She's about to have a 3rd son. God bless her. Because she has been through hell and back. She's going to mother and parent from a whole nother level. And this is what we talk about, how we break generational curses. Why and how she ended up where she did, who knows? I'm not here to judge. I don't understand the psychological makeup. Thank God she made it out, that she's, alive. She could have died with overdose. She could have died from her beatings. Who knows? She could have died from just having unprotected schmess. Anyway, I got my hammer, guys. It's day 8. We got like 7 more weeks to go. It's going to be a long trial. I'm here. Hit that like button. And any other topics you want me to talk about, just go ahead and hit it in comments. I appreciate guys, some of my videos, seriously, let me take a minute. I've been on here cooking, and I never really show my face. I never really come on here and talk. But some of my videos I see are growing. They're growing. I went from 1 view to 10 to 100 to 500. And it's just like a machine. I mean, I had like 1.8 million views on TikTok, which was like huge. So shout out to all my hip hop fans, all my cooking fans, all my Safari Spice fans, or just whoever guys just like out. I mean, I'm just trying to be a real person from New York, and I'm just watching the trial like the whole world is doing this, right? The whole globe is watching the trial. I'm just watching it with you guys, and we just gotta pray for the jury and accept whatever the verdict's going to be. But on that note, guys, I got to run. Have an amazing day. Memorial Day weekend's coming up. I hope you guys are doing fun. I'm going to be here just drinking my tea, I'm getting better. I'm not 100% yet, but I'm getting better. Go to the pool, go to the beach, have a cookout. Just enjoy. Life is so short. Life is so precious. Just enjoy. Make the most out of every day, because that's all you have. All right. Kisses. Lots of love, guys.